Let me tell you what I love about this group of people, this Real Money Coach live family. Alice Martin, before we were even broadcasting, said greetings from Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. Good evening, Alice Martin, and everybody else who is listening and watching from wherever you happen to be. We're excited to have you here. Please put in the chat box your city, your state. Tell us something good. Tell us what's on your mind. Tell us what's going on. Let me tell you what's on my mind. What's on my mind is I'm going to get on this bird tomorrow and I'm going to be heading down to Punta Cana. Let me tell you something. I'm going to be masked up. I'm going to have Clorox wipes in my luggage. I'm not going to play with it, y'all. I'm not going to play. Don't be looking at me cross-eyed when I'm sitting by the pool with a mask on now. That's just how it's going to be. That is just how it's going to be. So I am looking forward to it. It's really that whole Delta virus, folks, it is serious, and I know that a lot of people have been a little upset because they have gone back to mandating masks, particularly here in North Carolina and Charlotte. All the businesses now have signs posted that, that masks are required. And I think it's okay. I think it's fine to do that. I think I never really stopped wearing my mask completely. I probably got a little bit looser with it, to be honest with you, but I didn't stop completely. Well, now I'm full blown, right? Ruth Bell, thank you for being here. Ruth Bell is in the house. Dr. Benita Harris is in the house. And so we love having you guys. We love the fact that you're engaged. You're doing the chat with us. You're telling us where you are. And I know a lot of people are watching. They're kind of incognito. They're behind the scenes, maybe not saying anything, but just kind of watching the show, getting information. Well, guess what? If that is you, we're glad to have you too. We're glad to have everybody who's tuning in, watching us. And we know that we have people from really coast to coast. We have a big following even in California because of the work that we've been doing out there, as well as North Carolina, Michigan, and certainly here in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. So we appreciate everyone who tunes in and watches. We appreciate your comments. Let me tell you something. Ruth Bell, this lady is so awesome. One day I'm just gonna have to ask her if I could have her permission to read one of these marvelous text messages that she has sent. I just want to thank you, Ruth Bell, for your encouragement. I just appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I know our whole team does. Chris does, Michelle does, Marlon does. We all appreciate it. So thank you so much for that. And listen, let's bring on the co-hostess, the hostess with the mostest, Miss Michelle Mitchell. Come on, Michelle, how you doing?
Doing good on this Thursday.
You doing good on this Thursday? You
Running
act like something
around.
special about this Thursday. You like,
It's a
I'm
little
doing good.
special about Thursday.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it's so exciting when you can take your kid to college and just drop them off. And then when you come home, it ain't nobody here.
Oh, Lord, the emptiness.
The
The
empty
emptiness.
nest. The empty
Oh, it's
nest.
quiet.
Quiet. Yes.
Nobody
Yes.
but you and Tony Mitchell.
Just me and Tony Mitchell. And guess what we about to do?
What y'all about to do?
We
Tell
about to get on a bird and
them.
go meet Tony Jackson in Punta Cana.
Yeah.
I'm
We're
so
gonna have a good
excited.
time.
Yes.
So many of you may know that we are traveling with the Black Couples Getaway, which will be taking place in Punta Cana. Some folks have already arrived there. I will be doing a seminar, a short seminar on Saturday to the folks, and then I'm going to be doing a whole lot of relaxing. Let me do this. Let me also thank everyone too for your condolences for Lisa's. Many of you have reached out and shared your condolences because her grandmother passing. Granny had a wonderful. She was absolutely beautiful.
Thank you, Dr. Benita.
Yeah, Absolutely. Dr. Lee said she liked the braids. All right. See there. They're too used to you. You're
I
not a guest anymore. You're not a co-host. You're not a guest co-host. You just
know.
Michelle,
I
right? You just
know.
part of the gang. So yeah, we love it. We love it. So, but I do want to thank everyone for reaching out and sending your condolences through, the different social media, text messages, all those types of things. But man, 92 years, Michelle,
Hmm. That's amazing.
it's
She
pretty
lived a wonderful
powerful.
life. Powerful life. Yeah.
Powerful.
Hmm.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing that was interesting is I was I, I, blessed to kind of give him the eulogy, and so then we're sitting in the living room, Lisa's mom, and I'm sitting there with Cameron, our 6-year-old grandson, and he says to me, he says, "Granny was a legend." Wow. He said, and then he
Yeah.
went to explain to me, in order to be a legend, you have to die first. He said, you
Oh,
become a legend. And I
yeah.
said, well, Cameron, do you know what it is if you're a legend before you die?
Right.
I said, it's called a
Yeah.
living legend. He said,
Yeah.
oh, like I'm going to be with baseball. And I was
Oh,
like, all right, bro, we got
all
you.
right.
So yeah, we love that. We love
Yeah.
that. So Brett, thank you for joining us from New York. Are you in New York City, or are you one of the other communities in New York? Brent is joining us from New York. And man, we've had people from as far as Australia on the call, and South Africa, and all over. So
Mhm.
we certainly appreciate everyone.
Yeah,
Uh,
Tony, I was surprised when I was in Jackson for the services. People were coming up to me like, I know you. You on the coach show. I'm like,
really?
oh, yes, they were. Yes, yes.
Wow.
They were like,
Wow.
yeah, I watch you on the Money Coach show. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go. Got a little fame. They
I
ain't said
know,
nothing to me.
right?
They ain't said nothing to me. They're like, we know Michelle, but we don't know who.
Right.
Bronx, New York.
Hmm.
Brent is from the Bronx. Love it, love it. Well, Michelle, lots going on as
Yes.
always. I don't know, Michelle. Have you been watching anything about this whole debt situation and the debt ceiling with the government?
Yeah, I haven't tuned in the last couple days, but yes,
Yeah,
because the change in the law
yeah,
on
the
July
debt ceiling.
31st,
Yeah.
you know, it kind of
Did we
snuck
talk about it
in.
last week a little bit? Did we touch on it last week? I'm
We
not
didn't
sure we
touch on
did.
it on the show last week. We
Yeah.
touched on it on Tuesday
Okay.
on our retirement call. Yeah.
On the retirement call, which was
Right. Yeah.
awesome. We did
Right.
a retirement seminar for the class of '86
86.
out of
Yeah.
Ben Harbor, Michigan. So shout
Yes.
out to Ben Harbor and to the Ben Harbor Tigers,
Yes.
right? So, but yeah, so what has happened, folks, is that because of, and this is kind of like what we say news that you can use, but it's just kind of information. Under the previous administration, under the Trump administration, there was unlimited debt ceiling.
Mhm.
So as much as they can, as much debt as they needed to operate the government, they had leeway to do that.
Mhm.
Well, that law actually sunset on July 31st, and so
Mhm.
now there's a debt ceiling. And
Mhm.
because of that debt ceiling, if they don't do something, if Congress doesn't do something to raise that debt ceiling, then what's going to happen is that we're probably headed towards another government shutdown in a couple
Right.
months. And good evening, Timmy Day. I see Timothy Day. And I know somebody said, good evening, Facebook user. You're probably coming in from our private group. So just put your name in there so we know who you are, but we're glad you're here. So what's going to happen is that if we don't do something, if Congress doesn't do something, then we could be looking at a government shutdown. Well,
Mhm.
one of the things that they did, and those of you who may be federal employees will understand this a little bit more, is with the TSP account, their general account, which is called the G Fund, the government has announced that they're not buying treasury bills anymore for the G Fund. So in essence, the G Fund is going to stay stagnant. And what a lot of people don't know is even though the G Fund is safe, it's not an equity balance thing. LaShonda and Alexander from Mississippi. How you doing? She loves to say sunshine. Queen B is with us. She's also from New York, right? Love it. So those are some of the extreme FX people, right? Those are some of the extreme people. They're wonderful people. I miss you guys. You guys were here in Charlotte doing trading training while I was in Michigan with my family. So I wish I would have been here. I could have came by and saw you guys and got me some tips on how to do some trading too, right? We got to get into trading some Forex. But anyhow, folks, so if you are a TSP, if you're a federal employee and you're a TSP, which is their version of the 401k, right? Then if you're in the G fund is safe, but the G fund is kind of at the disposal of the federal government. So now they decided that they are not going to actually buy any more treasury bills for the G fund. So it's really going to sit there stagnant. But also what we have to realize is that at the disposal of Congress and the president, they actually can use that G fund to run the government in the case of emergency. And so even though it's safe from the ups and downs, it still has some political exposure. Let's put it that way. So, but listen, that's enough about that. If you guys have some questions about it, email us at info@therealmoneycoach. If you need business coaching, hit up Michelle at Mitchell Consulting Group.
Service.com.
There we go. Michelle at Mitchell Consulting Service, and we'll be happy to help you. But what I want to do right now is I want to bring my boy on. I want to bring this guy on. I'm going to tell you something about Alistar Edwards. Alistar Edwards is from Kennesaw, Georgia. He's one of the top producers in Legalshield. But what was so impressive about me is that when we first went and did a presentation with his group of people, Team New Vision, shout out for Team New Vision, right? That it was such a family atmosphere. I mean, it was like for real. They were for real family, even though they come together under the purposes and under the umbrella of Legalshield. They were really a family. And that atmosphere that they've set there was so great. Very similar to Extreme, right? Extreme FX, it's the same thing. It's a family type atmosphere. And I think when you get like-minded people together and you start doing some of those things, that's when we have that. And so without any further ado, I want to bring on my friend, a top ring earner with Legalshield, Mr. Alistar Edwards. There we go.
How's it going today?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. Can y'all hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you great.
Good.
Alistar, this guy, man, I think I've mentioned it to you before, but just the warmness and the cohesiveness of Team New Vision, and particularly that it was just so impressive from the very first time that I kind of came on the show. And it's just, I found it to be true. So, we're going to have to, at some point, we need to unpack how you've cultivated that type of environment. Okay. But before we get to that, I just want to give a little background. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Kind of give us a little bit. Tell us about Alistar.
Okay. Alistar Edwards, born in Barnet, England, to Jamaican parents. Moved to Jamaica when I was 3. Lived in Jamaica from 3 to 14. Then moved to Hollywood, Florida. Went to high school in Hollywood, Florida, South Broward. And first year of college, went to Kendall College and Northwestern University in Evanston. Transferred back to Florida A&M, finished up at FAMU, and then moved to Atlanta in 1993 with Publix supermarkets. I started working with Publix when I was about 15 years old. And when I graduated from college, they decided they were moving into the Atlanta market. So I moved with them to come open the very first Publix supermarkets. And then did about 27 years with them. About 16 of those years was as a store manager. And then started Legalshield part-time in 2003. It allowed me to retire from corporate America in 2009. And I've just been doing that and doing sales coaching and training.
Wow, and I've always caught a little bit of accent, but until you said it
I
today, I'm
know,
like,
right?
hey, the Jamaican part.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, I said, well, it's the England thing, because I knew you were born in Britain, and then, but I didn't realize that the Jamaica
Right.
connection there. So that's pretty awesome. And Publix, that's my wife's favorite grocery store. I do have to admit. It is now. We used to live next to a Harris Teeter, but anyway, that's another story altogether. So you went to FAMU.
FAMU, proud
Okay.
Rattler.
Huh?
I said proud Rattler.
Proud Rattler, right? So, and that's one of they got a major band down there. I hear, I understand, right? So,
yeah, we do a little something.
Yeah, I do a little something. I know it's always, of course, I'm in North Carolina, so everybody talks about, A&T's band, Cold Steel, right? Cold Steel, the drum line and all that kind of stuff. But that's really good. HBCU. So what do you think about HBCUs now? Is it something that you would recommend for your kids? What's your thoughts on HBCUs?
Oh, strongly recommend for my kids. I'd recommend that for anybody's kids. I think especially for a African American student, is the best experience. You know what I mean? The culture, the home family unit that you'll get, the personal attention that you'll get from your professors. I just think it's a great experience. And I think our HBCs, if you check the stats, rank just as high or higher than most PWCs. So yeah, I strongly recommend it.
Yeah, and it's so true. And I'm looking at LaShonda Alexander. She's from Jackson, Mississippi. So we're gonna give a shout out for Jackson State down there. Deion Sanders kind of putting them on the map, right? And all that. But
we go head to head with them this weekend, coming up in our first weekend in September down in Miami.
Oh, is that right?
Yes. Okay. FAMU against Jackson State. We're gonna look forward to taking that title home.
All right. So that sounds like it's an ongoing battle. That's pretty good. But you're right. And I thought, and of course I have a son that went to A&T, one Morehouse, and a lot of them go on to the Ivy League schools, and they're able to perform. Tony's at Howard now. And it was really kind of good to see the kid that was a 5-star basketball player sign with Howard versus one of the, Power 5 conferences, bringing that attention to our HBCUs. And I myself have been kind of involved in some things where we're working with some organizations to kind of talk about esports and all that kind of stuff. Just, bringing some of those things to our HBCUs, because it's great.
Yeah. Tony, do you know that one of the statistics that was shared in the Power Network last week was that 89% of the Black judges in the United States come from HBCUs? 89%.
Really? Wow.
Yes, 89%.
The other thing I heard that 100% of the Black vice presidents of the United States.
Really? Oh, yes, right.
We only had one, right?
Right. Right.
You walk right into that one. I don't even know what that is, but absolutely. So, Alistar, so you grow up in Jamaica, those formative years, and then graduate high school, go to FAMU, and now you're working for Publix. You're in corporate America. What was it? Something that you were looking for more, or were you seeking something different? Kind of tell us about that, because I say this about myself, right? My wife doesn't like me to say this, but I say it. I'm unemployable. I would not hire me, right? I wouldn't hire me.
Me too.
Because I've been like I had my own business for so long. It's nothing. And let me tell people this: there's nothing wrong. Some of y'all need to get a job, right? So you can get some things taken care of,
right?
But I believe this, and I believe this wholeheartedly. Everybody needs to have their own business. Everybody needs to have their own business, and Legalshield is one of those businesses out there that I'm glad I ran into you, because prior to that, I always had this kind of negative connotation of, back then it was called prepaid legal. They'd come by my office, and it was just not the right people, and how they presented wasn't necessarily the right thing. But you're in corporate America, you decide that that's not for you. So then what happens? What happens next? How did you get on this?
So, I mean, it was kind of a full circle thing because, you know, when I moved from Jamaica with my parents, my dad was very, very good at running companies in Jamaica. We were considered middle class, doing well. And then we moved here, you know, to convert finances to put my sister through college. And he started working for the 7-Eleven Corporation. And every store they put him in, he would turn those stores around. The numbers would go up. And they would take him out of that store and put him in another failing store. And he would turn that store around and the numbers would go up. And he would keep asking, so when's the opportunity for me to get my own store? And he was told, oh, well, you know, to be in management, you need to have a college degree. And he didn't have one. So he was very adamant about me getting a college degree. So I did that, right? And did well, ran good stores, and same thing. I would get stores and they put me in them and I would turn them around. I would get stores and put them in them and turn them around. I'm in management now, but now I wanted to become a district manager.
Okay.
And for some reason, even though I was keep turning around stores, I was always told the next one, just do one more, just do one more. And I realized that the same cycle that was being put on my father years ago, right, was slowly being put on me, meaning somebody else was controlling my promotion. So no matter how good it is, if I didn't go to the right church, didn't play with the right, you know, didn't play golf with the right person, the window of opportunity was getting away. And that's when I realized I needed to do something different. Now, I've always had entrepreneurship in me, but it was not, like you said, it was not prepaid legal. As a matter of fact, the gentleman that asked me to look at it, it took him 6 months to get me to look at it. And he would come into my store every single week and say, you need to come to this hotel presentation. Automatically, I said, scam, pyramid.
Right.
And it was a Friday afternoon. I'm sitting in my office and I'm looking at the cameras and I saw him come in and I called my front office cashier and I said, look, whatever you do, you tell that man I'm not here. But he saw my car up front and wouldn't leave. And I wanted to go home. So I came out. I said, Mr. Green, what part I know don't you understand? And he said one thing that changed my life. He said, Mr. Edwards, is it fair to say that most of your good decisions are usually made after you have 100% of the facts? I said, true. He says, all I want you to do is come and get 100% of the facts. And no matter what you decide, I'll never bother you again. He says, but if you don't come, I'll be here again on Monday. So the only reason I went to this presentation was to get this guy to stop bugging me. Well, it just so happened I was in a foster to adopt class. 2 of my kids are adopted. There were 30 other parents in there with me, and I needed to get a will done. I called my frat brother, who was an attorney. He said, I would do it for you. He says, I'll do it for $500. He says that we usually charge $1,200. I go to this seminar and it says we do your will, your living will, and your medical health care power of attorney for free. It's included in the membership for $24.95 a month. I was like,
no brainer.
No brainer.
Right.
And I thought about it. Well, there are 30 other parents in this class. I'm sure they could use one too. I might as well become an associate, make a little money. My first year part-time, I made about $30,000. Second year, I did a little over 50, third year over 80. Fourth year, I was making 6 figures on a part-time basis. So I was still working 50, 60 hours a week in corporate America. And part-time with LegalShield made an extra $114,000. And then by 2009, it was paying me about $7 to $8 grand a month in what we call residual income, meaning if I decided not to do anything else, it would still be paying me that type of income today. And so July 4th, 2009 became my personal Independence Day. And when I walked away from corporate America, hadn't looked back since.
That's pretty awesome. And I want to go back because we're gonna talk about this residual income because as we're talking about being stable, right, and having multiple streams of income is also that residual income, that mailbox money, that money that comes when you don't do anything. You've worked once for the money, but it keeps coming. And you know, some people, you know, there's different ways to title it, but I love residual income. I love renewals. I love those types of things. But I want to make sure we don't miss this though, because we talk about 4 pillars of intergenerational wealth. And one of those is entrepreneurship. And one of the things that you brought out that I just want our listeners to hear is the fact that you said you were seeing perpetuated on you the same systematic racism that was being perpetuated on your dad. And the other thing about it is no matter how well we do at our job, we cannot give that job to our offspring.
Can't pass it on.
You can't pass it on. You could be the district manager of the year of Publix or any other corporation. And when you want to step away from that, you can't be like, here, son, take over my job as district manager.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. And so I love the fact of how you evolved from that. The other thing I want people to hear, because we talk about this when we do our classes, particularly for the state of North Carolina, for business owners, particularly new business owners, is sometimes they're too quick to quit their job.
Yep.
They haven't been through a cycle enough. They haven't been through, and people tell me, well, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna quit my job in 3 months. Well, you did real good in June, July, and August. But what's gonna happen when November and December and January come? You have to go through a whole cycle. And I always tell people, when you think you're ready to quit your job, stay there 6 months longer and make sure. But what I like about you is that you said that you were making 6 figures as a part-time income. You didn't quit your job. A lot of people just quit too soon.
Yeah.
And so I think that was very important.
I really didn't want to leave until I knew I could double my income. And so I was making 6 figures a year when I was introduced to Legalshield. First year I made an extra 30. Second year I said, 50, 80, 104. I still stayed 3 more years making 6 figures with Legalshield before I decided to leave Publix.
Wow.
Got it.
Because I wanted to make sure that it was one legit, right? Solid. And then of course, once the residual income piece started kicking in, I knew, God forbid something happened, the residual that I'm making right now is enough to meet my household needs.
Understood.
Right.
Understood. And I think that's really good. And it's something else that tells me about you. You got work ethic. Because I don't know a lot of people that would be making 6 figures doing something as their own boss and hang on to their other job.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that would do that. So you were grinding. You were grinding. Now, this is kind of coming to part of the story I want, because we've talked about a couple things, and I think you're going to expound on this for me. I talked about the family atmosphere of Team New Vision, your group, and I'm talking. I mean, I could name some names, right? Some great people that I've met and have done business with me. And then you talked about residual income, and I think those are 2 factors that played an important role in your medical situation that you had a few back. You mind telling us a little bit about that? And
Sure. So Team New Vision, I wish I could take credit for the construct of that family unit, but that's really Mr. Self and Mike Humes. So they've done such a great job of building that TNV culture to where they were focused on is making sure that everybody's recognized for a win. So whether you're making 10,000 or 20,000 or $100, whatever it is, every little win is celebrated to where everyone feels included. And we also have a family culture. So we do, at least, I would say we meet at least once or twice a year as a whole organization to where we actually get to know each other. And so that builds that TNV culture. And it is truly a family, meaning we understand that, as long as all ships are in the water, when the tide rises, all ships rise, right? So, we're always taught, look, if God's in the neighbor, if your neighbor is being blessed, celebrate that because God's in your neighborhood.
I gotta stop you. That's so good. Listen, the reason I gotta stop you, because we hear that all the time.
Yeah.
That a rising tide, right?
Yeah.
Raises all ships.
Yeah.
But you qualified that. You said the ship's got to be in the water.
Be in the water.
You got to be in the water. You got to be in the game, first of all. A lot of people stand on the shore and be like, man, my boat didn't rise. Well, your boat went in the water. You got to set that thing, right?
Yeah, so that's good. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
you're fine. You're fine. You got to be in the game, first of all. Right? And then to be around people that want to let you know, hey, it's about to be high tide. Put your boat in. right?
Right.
So you want to be around the people that not only that will tell you, look, it may be a little rough in here, but we've been through this. We got you. So don't pull your boat out. A lot of people see the storm coming and they're like, oh, I'm gonna get my boat out of here. Don't want to damage my boat. No, you got to go through the storm. Right. The good news is if we all go through it together, it's not as hard as you think because we're doing it as collectively. And so that's the thought process of TNV. And so I've been with that organization now. Our team's I've been a part of the team now for over 17 years. But I tell you, you asked about my medical scare. About 3 months ago, I went and had a physical done, like I always do, my annual physical. My doctor said, Alistar, everything looks good. All your numbers are good. Your cholesterol's good. Blood pressure's good. Testosterone's high, everything, right? So I walked out of there feeling like I was Superman. Right. A week later, I'm working out and I feel this pop in my brain, like I felt it, right? Wow. And threw up this yellow liquid and then immediately started to have a headache. And, us men can be stupid sometimes. So I just took some Tylenol. That was on a Saturday. Sunday, I took some Excedrin PM because it got worse. Monday, I took Excedrin PM and Tylenol because it got even worse. Tuesday, I'm doing a team Zoom. And one of the young ladies on my team texted me. She said, Mr. Edwards, with all due respect, you don't look good. I want you to go to urgent care for me. So I'll tell you why I didn't go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because I had so much to do. Monday schedule was booked. We got things to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I go to urgent care, tell them what happened over the weekend. The guy takes my blood pressure and he comes out with a yellow slip and he said, Mr. Edwards, I need you to go straight to the hospital. So I go to the hospital. As soon as I get there, they check me and they do a CAT scan. 30 minutes later, a surgical team comes in. Wow. 2 questions they asked me. I'll go back to LegalShield. Do you have a medical healthcare power of attorney? Yes, LegalShield did it for me for free. Do you have a will? Yes, LegalShield did that for me for free, right? So all things that before you can get any major surgery, you need to have in place. And time is of the essence. So if you don't have a will or you don't have a medical healthcare power of attorney, I don't care whether you get it from us with LegalShield or you get it from your local attorney, but I'm recommending to everybody listening, make sure you have that ready. Because you could be perfectly healthy one day and just like that, things can change. Absolutely. So surgical team comes in, they run me upstairs. I go into surgery, I go under. When I come out, doctor comes in and said, well, Mr. Edwards, you've had a busted blood vessel in your brain. You've already had, it looks like 2 or 3 mini strokes. And he says, luckily for you, it's in you're that 10% where it's on the side of the brain where you should really not have any cognitive damage. He says, you will have some headaches for a while. He says, I could go in and drain it, but that's a risk. It would be a lot better for you to just let it heal naturally and just deal with the headaches if you can. And I chose that option. I was like, yeah, I'm not having you cut my head if you don't have to. So I was in the hospital for 3 days, and then I was pretty much on bed rest for about 3 or 4 weeks. And for the whole 3 or 4 weeks, I'll give you an example. So I went to the hospital on a Tuesday. That Tuesday, I was supposed to do a Zoom with Mike Humes. You know Mike.
I know Mike. Yeah.
So Mike is in Washington, D.C. I live in Atlanta. So I called him. I said, hey, here's the situation. I'm on my way to the hospital. You're going to have to do the Zoom by yourself. And I hung up with him, right? So he kept in touch with the young lady, Nikita Tucker, who was locally here, who met me at the hospital. And when I went into surgery and woke up and got back in my room, he was by my bedside.
Wow.
Like he just flew in, right? Nikita Tucker, Dapper Peters, Sean Stone, Farrah Shelley, Robin Johnson, Martavius Hillman. Hope I'm not missing any. But yeah, but those 6 people for a whole month were in my house. Like they took shift schedules, preparing food, making sure I was taking my medication, taking my blood pressure 5 times a day. I mean, you never realize how much you've affected other people's life until you're in a situation. Those of us that are leaders and go-doers and we do for everybody else, we don't expect anybody to have to do anything for us.
Yeah, we don't do it for payback. We don't do it because
the crazy part is we don't even want anybody to do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
A lot of times we resist it.
Yeah.
Right. We like, no. Yeah.
But I mean, Mike came, snatched my phone. Like you can't use your phone, no emails, no texts, food was prepared, everything. And they did that for a whole month. And I was thinking about the opportunity and thanking God that I made a decision to go into LegalShield because If I was in corporate America, they would have given me a week off. Then I would have had to take short-term disability, which would only lasted 2 weeks. Then I would have had to take long-term disability for the long. And 9 times out of 10, being gone for a month or so, they would have given my store to somebody else. And when I come back, they'll be like, if we find something for you, then we relocate you.
Right.
Right. So whereas in my business, I probably did more that month than I did previous month because the team stepped up. My residual income was taking care of all my bills. I still made great income. But because I had mentored those people into doing the same thing, they had the time freedom to be there with me as I went through that.
And that's so important because not only you financially, the residual income, the renewals, and all those type of things that you just spoke about, but they were independent and could take the time off. Because how many times have we been in corporate America and we wanted to, you know, you wanted to be there, but because you had a job or you had corporate responsibility, you couldn't.
You couldn't.
And so that's awesome.
It's funny. I wrote this down yesterday. I was watching my good friend Donnie Wiggins, and she was talking about most of your decisions. As a matter of fact, 80% of your decisions are based on your job.
Yeah.
When you think about that, 80% of your decisions are based on your job.
Yeah.
Where you live, based on what type of job and what kind of income you have.
Yeah.
What you drive, based on what kind of job and income you have. What kind of schools your kid go to, based on the job, right?
Right.
Here's the one. When you go on vacation, based on the 2 weeks they tell you can have.
Yeah.
And when you get sick, it's based on when they tell you got sick time.
Right.
I mean, think about that. You know, so to be able to position yourself and help people move out of that. I mean, on our team alone, Team New Vision alone, we just announced number 120. There are 120 of us now. To 120 individuals that earn anywhere from $50,000 to over $1 million every 12 months with the company. Wow. There are 26 of us that have been inducted into what we call the Millionaires Club. So we've generated over $1 million in personal income with the opportunity. And it's because of the system that we have in place that I think makes it attainable for anybody. I mean, if you visit our website, tnv4life.com, tnv4life.com, you can see the various backgrounds, right? So from hairdresser, barber, civil engineer, postal worker.
I've known attorneys that actually have left their practice to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the young lady, Tiffany Sullivan, on my team, her first year with me, she was a 16-year practicing attorney. After working with me 2 months in, she texts me and says, I'm shutting my law firm down. Wow. The next 12 months, she made over $190,000 personal income.
And, you know, one of the things I want us to get here, because one of the things is understanding this, people that are watching, is that LegalShield may not be your thing, but the everything that he's talking about here is so important in terms of establishing another source of income, a residual income, when you're not, so that you're not out working for your money. Your money's working for you.
Working for you. Yeah.
Mailbox money. And one of the things I will say this about LegalShield versus, and you know, I'm an insurance guy. I've been that way for 24 years. Is the barriers to entry with LegalShield is very minimum. They're practically
very low.
Number one, most states you don't need a license, and you don't need a lot of money to start. And I think that's important. And there are other business opportunities out there, obviously, but I think this is something that people need. I've been a member myself for, I don't even remember how long, at least, let me see, 10th grade, probably 10 years or more. And even been associate, but never really did much until I met you guys and that type of thing. But I think it's just, my experience has been absolutely wonderful. Now, here's the thing. If you think that Legal Shield necessarily is going to cure every one of your legal issues, every one of that without you paying something, that's not true. Because if it's not covered by your membership, you get the 25% discount, but you still got to pay. It's not a cure-all for everything, but it's certainly, I can't think of any membership that I've had in any type of thing that I've utilized more. And I tell my son all the time, well, call Legal Shield. Call Legal Shield. You need to call Legal Shield. Bro, you need to keep your Legal Shield membership, right? Call Legal Shield. So I think it's great. I do want to spend a few minutes talking about the membership and some of the things that you get. But I think, Michelle, you've had experience with Legal Shield as well.
Yes, within a month of me signing up for Legal Shield, and I did become an associate, but that's neither here nor there. But I got a letter in the mail saying that I owed some money in the state of Texas. I live in Michigan. I'm like, what is this? And this, it wasn't my name, but it had part of my name. So I just sent it to Legal Shield. And within 30 minutes, I was speaking to an attorney in Texas. It got fixed. Like, he told me exactly what to do, what to say, and it got fixed. And it didn't even cost me another $1. It was part of my membership.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet.
So, yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
That's
within a month of me becoming a member. Yeah.
Awesome.
Within a month.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what's some of the highlights of membership? One of the things that we've talked a lot about on this show is estate planning. You mentioned wills, healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, some of those types of things. So just give us some of the highlights of what membership looks like.
Yeah, sure. I've been a member now 17 years. It's probably saved me, I don't know, over 100,000 over the years. So for $24.95 a month, it covers the entire family. So it covers the member's spouse, and any children up under the age of 26. Gives you unlimited telephone consultation. It also gives you letters and phone calls written on your behalf. So if you consult with an attorney and they think a letter or phone call will make that situation better, they'll write the letter, make the phone call. Mm-hmm. So for example, one of my cars, the engine died in it in 2018, 2019. And the dealer was going to charge me $3,000 or $4,000 for a used engine, $7,000 for a brand new one. And before I made that decision, I decided to call Legal Shield. Legal Shield asked me to make the model. They called me back and said, there's a recall on that model. We're going to write a letter to the Hyundai corporate, right? 6 days later, the dealer calls me back and says, hey, I don't know who you know, but our corporate office is shipping you a brand new engine to this location. We'll have it installed in 3 days. And once it's complete, you can pick it up, and they're picking up the tab. So a letter from my law firm put a brand new engine in the car, mm-hmm. right? They also do contract and document review. Anything you're signing, make sure that you fax it over to your law firm. So if you're doing a business deal, your kid's moving into an apartment complex, you want them to look over the lease, right? Whatever it is, make sure you have an attorney review that contract for you. They'll tell you what the fine print really means, right? They always tell you the bold print give us and the fine print take it away.
Right.
That we don't read. We don't read the fine print. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what your Legal Shield's attorney is for. Just fax it over to them and they'll say, hey, Mr. Jackson, you may want to think about this. Hey, Ms. Mitchell, do you realize that even though you got a 3%, 4% on your mortgage, it's a balloon payment in year 3, year 4, you're going to be paying 20%. See, that's why everybody lost their house when the real estate
2008.
Hey,
2008, those stated income loans.
Yeah,
they look real good.
You didn't realize your house note was going to triple. Well, your Legal Shield attorney would have told you that, right? If you get a moving violation or speeding ticket, just take a picture of it on your app, hit send. It goes to the law firm, no matter where it is in the country. They'll try and have an attorney go to court for you. First objective is to make sure there are no points on your license. If they can, they'll reduce or eliminate the fine. We prepare each member's will, living will, and medical health care power of attorney for the member and the member's spouse, all included in the membership. You get 60 hours of trial defense your first year, day one, starting out for any civil lawsuit. They add 60 hours for the first 5 years. every year. So you end up with 300 hours of an attorney's time. So if someone was to sue me right now, just know my attorney has already been paid for about 300 hours of court time. So if you want to pay yours, my first 300 hours is free, right? If you get audited, you have a tax attorney sit down with you, go to the audit with you. If you've been a member for 90 days, they do uncontested name change, adoption, divorce at no additional cost. And then the most important button to me is the little red button. You know, I have 2 boys. We know what the climate is like. I'm not saying all cops are bad, but the good news is if you see blue lights come on behind you, press that little red button. Your Miranda rights say you have the right to call you have the right to what? Remain silent, and you have the right to call who? Your attorney. Well, good. Press that red button. By the time the officer gets to your car, your attorney is already listening on the conversation. They'll announce themselves to let you know, hey, there's someone listening on this situation. So continue. They're not going to stop the officer from doing their job, but at least you have somebody there that's listening, and it would change a lot of situations. You know, I was doing a presentation in Chicago a couple years ago, and there was a lady in the back of the room, a little teary-eyed. And when I was done, she walked up and she said, Mr. Edwards, don't stop doing what you're doing. She said, I can only imagine what the outcome would have been had my daughter had this membership. It was Sandra Bland's mother.
Wow.
She says, imagine if my daughter could have been speaking to somebody instead of losing control and the officer losing control, someone who the officer would have had to respect. I'm sure that situation could have gone different. Right? For $24.95 a month, I think my kids are worth it. It was just that alone, right? When my 3 kids were in college, just the fact that they had that membership and that access was peace of mind for me. If that was all we were selling, I would make sure my kids had it. I would pay that monthly fee. But it also comes with a members perks program. So you have discounts at over 500 plus retailers. I get discounts on hotels, discounts on rental cars, discounts when I travel, when you shop. All of that stuff is readily available for you through your members perks.
Well, I'll tell you what, I love that discount, the Legal Shield discount for rental car.
Yes.
National, man, I love National. I roll up, man. I get the executive roll car, and I roll, whenever I book, it's like, oh, Legal Shield member, or associate. And so that's wonderful. And I think, Pete, the other thing that I just kind of want to touch on here too is if you're a business owner as well, is having the legal coverages for your business by just adding a simple supplement to your membership. Now, many of you have businesses. I mean, I know I see people who are traders and different things. You have businesses. And so now this also becomes a write-off for you as well, because you're bringing this into your business. And I've used it for, those contracts that you're signing contracts and having them look over the contract, I think is an awesome thing to do. And then there's the small business services. I'm drawing a blank on it now, but if you are a small business, there's other things that are there, like the website and other services that are offered for businesses. If you are CDL, you're behind a truck or dump truck or semi, having that liability covered. So there's an array of different things that's there. The one thing I do remind people of this, though, is sometimes people say, well, I haven't used my membership. Well, a lot of times people don't use a membership. That doesn't have anything to do with legal shit. It's the fact that you decided not to get your will done. I mean, or and that's just a basic thing. And here's the same thing. Some of you have life insurance. You don't cancel it because you haven't used it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you need it, you want it there. And I think there's so many different ways and stuff that you can use the Legal Shield membership that makes sense. And the bottom line to me here too is it's just entrepreneurship. Just and when you see that there's a need, and we know that this is a need, when you see there's a need and you have a product that meets those needs, that I think it's just gravy. And I when I found out about your medical challenge and immediately I was like, can I call him? And I had no idea that you had been going through that. And honestly, if I can be honest with you, one of the things for me is like, man, I'm glad Alistar took care of getting coverage when he did.
Yeah.
Because when we did that 6 months ago, we had no idea that you'd have a medical.
No.
Right.
And I remember you, when we finally did talk, you said, man, is my stuff good? I'm like, yeah, you good. You good. So I do want to tell people, don't, and I say that all the time because life insurance agents like to do this. They like to play this. They like to say, listen, you might get hit by a truck when you go out, when you leave here. And that's true. And we've had that happen with clients, right? But what happens more often is that there'll be a medical issue that prevents them from being able to get it. It's not the fact that you're going to die suddenly. Like that happens very rare. I mean, less than 2% of the time, right? Very, very rare that happens. What happens more frequently is that there'll be a prescription, there'll be a medical episode that prevents you from being able to get those coverages. And I fairly felt good that you had made that decision and was such a strong supporter of what we were doing with the team. And you led by example, right? You led by example. You didn't ask them to do something or look into something that you didn't do yourself. And to me, that's leadership. Leadership is being that example. And I'm just proud to be a business partner with you, because of, you know, God kept you, bro.
Yeah.
It's
But
amazing.
I tell you why I partnered with you, man. First of all, trust me, I've been approached by several, and I mean several insurance agents about, you know, getting access to my organization and to my team and to the people I know. But there's always an integrity factor that I look for, the type of character that a person has. And you checked all those boxes, you know what I mean? And so, because you remember when you introduce someone to someone else, you're now putting your reputation, I was putting my reputation in your hands. Right. And that's something very hard to do. Because, you know, I don't do insurance. That's not my expertise. But for me to co-sign and say, hey, if you need insurance, Tony Jackson is the person. If you end up messing over one of my people, you know, bad news travels way faster than good news.
Good news. Yes, sir.
Right? So I'm very careful as to who I introduce or partner with. And after our conversation and your presentation and what I've seen and the results that you've gotten, what you've done for me, it just made sense that I should not be selfish with the information when I know that the person that I'm sharing, that is going to be sharing with my team or with the people I recommend, is coming from a point of integrity, more so than anything else.
Well, and I think that's kind of a mutual, it becomes mutual.
Yes.
Because integrity is everything. And, you know, what I love too about LegalShield and about this team is that I don't have to be the expert at LegalShield either. I mean, I have a Sean Stone that I've gotten to know. The fact that you guys have an informational Zoom every day at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and I can just tap people in there. So Alice Martin says, how do I get LegalShield? How do I get LegalShield? Let me do this. Chris, put this on the screen. You go to TRMCLegalshield.com. That will take you to the Real Money Coach page on LegalShield. But if you go to TRMCLegalshield.com, and that will take you right there, and you'll have all the information. Or just email us, right? info@therealmoneycoach, and I can walk you through that process. And one of the things I think is that we need to be more proactive, because the other thing, last week we had a lady on named Pat Bailey, and we were just talking about when your parents have Alzheimer's or dementia and the spend down process. And this is an important part of that financial wellness. I mean, we're not saying this to push membership to LegalShield. I mean, because you can get your will done, you can get your trust done in a number of places. I just don't know any place where it's more economical to get it done, and all the other things that you get with it, right? But you can get that done in a number of places. But what I what I'm recommending is that you do get it done. And I think we need to, and as we've been through some things with our family lately with Granny and those type of things, and it's just, you know, and I think about my great aunt and others, clients that have gone through that process. I had a truck driver who, you know, got in an accident. He had the policy, but he couldn't enact the benefits because he wasn't dead. So his wife couldn't do it. He was incapacitated. He was like in a coma, so he couldn't do it. But had they had a healthcare power of attorney and power of attorney in place, we could have got those benefits started for them 6 weeks sooner than waiting and going before a probate court, getting an emergency juncture, and then that costs them money, right? To do that, you know, so just having those simple things in place. In my book, I talk about, you know, Michael Jackson had it together with his estate plan, but Prince, James Brown, Aretha Franklin, you know, they didn't.
You know what? It's funny you say that, Tony. We as a people sometimes can be so reactive.
Yes.
Instead of proactive. So here it is, you're giving people to get a will, a living will, a medical healthcare power of attorney, a financial power directive, right? For $24.95 a month. And someone is going to be listening to this call and say, I don't have the time to spend 5 minutes going to a website to sign up for it. And then there's some of them that are going to sign up for it, but are going to get the membership and still say, I don't have the time to fill out the questionnaire.
Right.
Because even when you join, there's still another press. You have to fill out the will questionnaire so the attorneys know what your wishes are to write the document.
And listen, people, I understand that. I understand, but we have to put things, make it a priority.
Make it a priority.
And that's so important. And you don't have to be a millionaire to need these things in place.
And especially if you have children, you definitely have to have one.
Absolutely. Wow. A lot of information, man. Yes. It's 9 o'clock. An hour has gone by already. I say that every week because it's just a lot of good information. And again, I'm going to ask you for your last words, Michelle, for your last words, and then I'll close us out. So I'll share parting words that you want to tell people who are watching.
No, one, I want to thank you for the opportunity to share. And to anybody watching who has not partnered with Tony yet, I strongly recommend you look into his program and look into the benefits that he provides, because I've done the same. I've taken advantage of it. And I'm very happy with the services that he's provided. And I'm always saying to people, especially after my medical scare 3 months ago, even the invincible can be broken down, because I was the one that thought I'm healthy. I try to eat healthy, right? Very little alcohol intake. So I didn't think I would be one that would need something like that, right? Or be in a medical situation like I was, but it happened. And it can happen to anyone. So I'm just strongly recommending that you all get your house in order, get your will done, get your medical healthcare power of attorney, make sure you have some life insurance. And Tony is the person to guide you through that process. You know, if you need to get in touch with me, mine is Linktree at Alistar.Edwards. And so if they could drop that in the chat, I'm sure they will. But I just want to thank you, Tony, and thank you for the opportunity. And of course, Michelle, it's always a pleasure to see you, madam. I love the hair.
Oh, vacation hair.
Vacation mode. I love it.
So Alistar, Michelle and my wife were roommates in college. And so they've been, her and her husband have been our ride and die for, we've both been married 29 years.
Wow.
And so we're all going on JD's trip.
Yeah, JD's my man. That's one of my closest friends. JD and I sold books door to door together in college.
Is that right? Wow. I didn't realize that.
During the summer,
we're connected.
Yeah, that's how we met, during the summer, selling books door to door at the Southwestern Company.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're gonna be with BCG over the weekend, and I'll be giving a presentation, and so down in Punta Cana. So yeah. Michelle, anything you want to say? I know you got your mind on vacation right there. You done checked out
do.
already.
I'm on vacation, but just people. You get good information, but if you never take action on it, it will never do anything for you. So if you just do one thing today, go to the website, sign up for LegalShield, because it helped me within 30 days. I got a letter out of nowhere saying that I had a ticket that I hadn't paid for, and I've never been to this location before. And LegalShield was able to help me. So take action today. Don't sit on the information, because you all say it's good information, but if you never do anything with it, it's never going to work for you. So that's my parting words.
So it's the action. It's
the action.
taking the steps. So faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
And so and we really do our best to bring good information. Remember, real. Let me tell y'all what real means. Real means relevant, educational, actionable, and life-changing information. That's what the Real and Real Money Coach is about. Yeah. And we try to bring you the best of the best, and but now it's up to you to put it in action. And there's not often that we talk about the products and stuff that we necessarily sell or that we are involved in, but we think that we do a very good job. We do a very good job of making sure that everyone gets information, and even people who maybe do similar stuff that we do. We still want you, because we can't help everybody, and there's some people who actually you might connect with better than you connect with one of us. And so we want to just make sure that everyone gets that information. I'm trying to also in here, Chris, I'm trying to drop the Alistar's contact information. It's not giving me a chance to do that. I'm going to put it back in the private chat. I don't know if you could pull it from there, but I was trying to put it in the comments so that we can post that. So if someone wants to get a hold of him, let me read it off too for you. It's linktr.ee/Alistar, ALISTAIR.Edwards, EDWARDS. So Alistar. And so if we can get that there we go. Thank you, sir. All right, we got it there. That's how you can get a hold of Alistar. Again, if you need to get a hold of them and you don't remember that information, y'all all should remember info at the Real Money Coach, and I'll make sure you get connected with him. And as always, I want to just ask everyone to be careful, wear your mask, follow protocol, because we're going to get past this whole corona, this Delta variant, because I just believe God is going to pull us all through it, right? So we just have to do our part. And so with that, I just want to tell everyone good night. Have a wonderful time, and we'll see you next week at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on Thursday night. I'm Tony Jackson, and it's the Real Money Coach.